I'm trying to make sure everything is settled. Trying a few different things here. God, I hate that. But yeah, here we are. We're good. It's time for whiskey, and it's time to talk about mental health. Let's see how many people love this. Now, a smart person would have written something down. Didn't do that. I've been all over the place today. It's been one of those days. I'm functional. I'm doing stuff. I made a thumbnail. If you didn't notice. I made the stream. For the most part, my brain is just. I don't even know where to start. First, let's start with whiskey. First, what's in your glass? Also, hello. Say hello to people who are here. Donner Pass whiskey. Hello. Bourbon. Hello. Hello. Wow. Welcome. Ooh, Scotch Tober. Douglas Lang, Bunahaben. God, Irene. Do it. Give it to me. Let's do it. John McElwain. Hello. You're welcome. I wish I could go back to some of the first whiskey I had. I think it was probably like Johnny Walker and Lefroy and that kind of thing. But that's not really going to cover it when it's bourbon night, technically. Slapshot, hello. Hockey game, what? Hat trick, what? Grats. I say that calls for some whiskey. Now, if you're really paying attention, with most you aren't, I'm not, things have shifted. Things have changed just a little bit. Tiny bit. One, I hope it's working. My microphone is, it's connected at least. I think I mentioned it last time that I can connect this microphone using a printer cable that I had. So that worked well, thankfully. Scott Pigsley, hello. David Basie, hello. So nice to see people that are here who are ready to talk about mental illness. Just the word, right? Just the two words, mental illness, makes people just whiskey proof. Welcome. Hello. And why is that? Well, let's go back, shall we? Let's go back to the early days of mental health. They would put you in a cage, basically. So that's usually where that comes from. People oftentimes think about, you say mental health and you think about, padded cells or asylums or that kind of horrible imagery that is mostly outdated now. There are still facilities for that sort of thing, but it's not. Well, I haven't been to one in a while. I've been to one. Wasn't great. That was a long, long time ago, thankfully. I didn't like it. But then again, why would I? Ooh, I get to watch now? I figured out a way to do something. Thank you all for hitting the like button. Keep it up. Because I found out I can actually stare at it and just watch it go up. And every time I see it not moving for, 10 minutes, I can be like, hey, guess what? That like button, do it. Also subscribe. I have a feeling most of you already have. And I'm looking at participants, so I'll know when you leave. I will. It's disturbing. Yeah, Scott Pigsley. There will be eventually, with many things in society, it has to be filtered into the norm. That takes a long time, a very long time. I mean, I don't want to go into a long rant, but there's stuff that, in my opinion, should have changed by now. People of color, that's a big one. And women. Those are like the two that immediately come to mind, where it's like, why aren't we there yet? Why aren't we at the point where it's like, okay, everything should be okay with this now. We should chill out. Like really? People get really upset about that crap, and I don't understand it. And we think we've gotten so far from that, and mental health is another one. But really, all of that stuff is still fairly new. Like within the last generation, my grandparents, my grandparents were living through that time. My parents were living through a time where there was dramatic changes in those problems, and we're still living through the very beginnings of mental health, like the very, very, very freaking beginnings. How do I know? Well, I live with it every day. Oh, most importantly, the thing I want to highlight before I forget, and I will, is Stuff and Whiskey is doing a charity event later this evening after its bourbon night. Show up. The link is. Did I do the link thing? I think I did. Yes. The link is wherever it is. It's over here, maybe. But the link to that is clickable in the chat on the YouTube. So check it out at the very least. You don't have to donate, but at least give it a peek. Maybe just join their stream. That would be fun. I hope to be there, depending on how I'm feeling. Hopefully it'll be fun. Pour some whiskey, Brian. All right. Stop hassling me. You know what? Let's do this one. This is a good one to start on. The 500 subscriber bottle that I keep having to pour because I still haven't quite registered that I got there. Just a little bit. We're going through a few of them tonight. And this is kind of off key, off product, off kilter. But I'm going to go into some Buffalo Trace stuff because that is a lot of what is being donated later this evening on Stuff and Whiskey. So another reason to stay tuned and tune in to their stuff, because they are going to be, it's not only a fundraiser, it's also you will possibly win bottles. That's enough for me. I donated. No, not enough, but I donated. Yay. So let's see. Oh, Frank C. Hello, welcome. Yeah. I think here's the thing. Here's my little, probably not the best thing, but in my case, getting into whiskey made me slow down my drinking. Like I don't drink as much as quickly as often. Like I kind of drink often, but I have a lot of whiskey and I do videos, so I have to drink it regularly. Wow, that's a fun word. What was my point? Oh, yes, but it's better than it was to get into mental health stuff. I forgot I can do that. I will. Hi, Ma. You're welcome. I mentioned it to them. I haven't heard back from them. Anyway, maybe I'll post it, maybe not. I don't want to rain on the parade. I know it's going to be Sarah's birthday stream. And if she's up for it, she's cool with it. Sure. But I know it's mostly a birthday stream. I may mention it. At least mention that it's World Mental Health Day. How's that? I can do that. Where was I going with that? My brain is so much fun. So, we were talking about stigma. Yeah, we're still in the early stages. And I was talking about whiskey. And whiskey is what helped me get my drinking in check. And I think, here's the weird little twist. The social aspect of drinking can be used for good and can be used for, I don't want to say evil, but not ideal situations. If you look at college drinking or the way you drink when you first get, at least in the American culture, when you first get introduced to alcohol, that's not the best usually, because in America we say not until 21, but you can join the military at 18. That makes sense. Really, I like the European idea with alcohol. It's like it's just a thing and it's just around. And if you want to try it, go ahead, but you really shouldn't drink it until you're older when you can deal with it a little bit. They won't stop you from doing it, but they're not doing that thing where you say, don't do that or else. Of course, as soon as you're told not to do something, there's a high likelihood you're probably going to get interested in doing it, which is not always the best. My point is, alcohol situations, social situations where alcohol is being enjoyed, I don't want to say responsibly, that's a horrible word, but it's being enjoyed in a safe way. I think that's where people can be a little more laid back and open about their feelings and their situation. I have to be. That's why I'm doing this. Part of the reason I'm doing this. Also hit the like button. Do it. Oh, it's fun. It's great. Wonderful thing. For me, it's bipolar, which, if you didn't know, that's a chronic condition in general. Chronic? Is that the right word? Anyway, it's lifelong. Like, it's not going away. Nothing will fix it. It's just, that's how I'm hardwired, so to speak. Medication helps. Therapy and counseling help. That's it. That's it for the rest of my life. That's how it's going to be. And I have to deal with it. It's fun. It's not that fun. Ugh. Where was I going with that? Oh, so I'm keenly aware of mental health stuff. I can go into the story. The story is very long. I got 2 hours, an hour and 50 minutes, I should say. So where to begin? Where should I begin? Right in my day. Oh, I'm drinking Angel's Envy, the 500 subscriber pour of the whiskeys. It's my first one, just a little bit. Mm-hmm. And let me know what's in your glass. That's what I keep trying to say, but I forget. Oh, that's right. First drink of the day, by the way. So that's going to feel interesting. Ugh. I can tell you, well, my mother knows. My mom knows there's something wrong with me very early on. Not really. But I was in the long-haired black trench coat phase of high school. So that was a clue. But it didn't really become apparent, I think, until after high school, where all my friends went to college, and I just, no, there's part of me that was very keenly aware that, one, instantly going into debt, not the best idea. I did that later when I was just, I didn't care. Two, that very environment was very unsettling. You did buy the trench coat, probably. But where was my point? Yeah, the college environment is very unsettling for someone like me. It was all people my age, all grouped together, all stuck in one place constantly for years. And some people would think that's great. I did not think that was great, being around a bunch of people I don't know. I was barely dealing with it in high school, where I just had to be there for a few hours every day. Blech. And I wasn't a good student. I just wasn't, because mental health stuff, which I wasn't completely aware of. It was not easy to sit still and listen to someone talk and pretend like I wanted to learn it and read a book that would tell me more about it. That was torture, kind of. I excelled in theater and art class. That's about it, because that was at least a little creative and let me do something while going to school. It's just, I hope it's changed a little since when I was in high school, but I have a feeling it hasn't. For the most part, anyway. It was difficult. I did graduate high school, barely. I didn't go to college officially. I went to Mr. Whiskey. Hello. I went to a 1-year program. That was also really stressful. I got into a very bad relationship during those years, so that was great. Really helped my mental health when I was in a relationship with someone with mental health problems. Not a good combination. I won't go into it. It was just not. That was probably one of the worst. That was the worst. That was the worst relationship I was ever in. It was for a long time, unfortunately. Long gone, though. But I think that kind of made me aware of my own mental health stuff, sort of. It wasn't until years later I was diagnosed at probably 27, 26, 28. And that took probably a year and a half, 2 years to actually decipher. And then, at least getting a diagnosis, something about getting a diagnosis, for those of you who haven't tried to do the whole therapy thing, there's a relief when someone's like, you might have this. And then they list off all the symptoms, and you're like, well, that's how I am all the time. So, oh, good to know. I'm trying to think of a good way to phrase this. My brain doesn't want to work today, by the way. Thank you for hitting the like buttons, folks. I'm keeping an eye on it, which I usually don't do. I'm just curious. I'm trying to give a good example, but I can't think of one. No, I can't think of one. Let me know if you have an example. Like, it's when you find out something and there's some kind of relief. In a lot of cases, I'm thinking of, learning you don't have a horrible illness or don't have cancer or don't have something. There is something you find out that diagnosis and you're just like, oh, good. In this case, it's reverse, where you find out you do have something and you're like, oh, really? Okay, good. At least I have a name for it. Scott Pilgrim, the one thing I've noticed is that being unique in yourself is valued more in school than it used to be. Yes. Yes, I hope it has. I mean, I don't go near schools anymore. Kids freak me out a bit. I'm at that age of my life where children just, I don't want to be around them usually. They are very random and spontaneous. And I just don't know what they're going to do. So they make me uncomfortable. They just do. They always have, kind of. What was my point? So yeah, diagnosed in the late 20s. I didn't really click this until now that my diagnosis was in my late 20s. And then there's someone like, why was my brain like this today? I'm all like, it's like I've had too much caffeine or something. Which is kind of a good thing. It demonstrates that mental health is not always easy to deal with, as it is right now for me. It's just, it would be on this day of all days. I listen to songs all the time. Come on. Bill Burnham. There we go. So he did a song about turning 30, and he's done music, and he talks about getting diagnosed in his later 20s kind of thing. That's kind of what happened to me. I got diagnosed in my late 20s, and then the years and years and years of trying to get on some kind of medication that helped, being very resistant to the idea of medication. I believe at least the first 2 years after I was diagnosed, I was resistant, not like hesitant. I was absolutely resistant against medication, because medication means I'm changing myself somehow. Like I wouldn't be the same person. That's what it was registering as. Like I wouldn't be who I am if I took medication. And that was kind of the stalling point where I was just resistant against it, for good reason, by the way, because the medication processes of our day and age are not the best. For one thing, it doesn't work real good. We got our method of figuring out how to medicate a person is, here, try this. Check back in a couple weeks. And I had to do that for 10 years. And there were a lot of medications that didn't work. There were a lot of medications that had really bad side effects. Some made me feel real good, but had real bad side effects. I'm talking to you, Adderall. I felt great. Wasn't. Cliff Smith, hello. I see you, sir. Don't forget to hit the like button, Cliff. Oh, you probably did it already. No, the side effects are awful. I don't even want to get into it, how bad some of them were. And some of them made you worse. Isn't that fun? Here's some medication for your depression. It somehow makes you feel worse. Some medications aren't even for depression. They're for seizures. That's the kind of area we're in at the moment as far as medication for anxiety and mental illness and bipolar and all that fun stuff. It's just not the best. We're not there yet. The brain is a very complicated thing. We haven't quite gotten to the point where we're like, oh, you have this, or you have this condition. I really want to be in the Star Trek age, folks. I want to be able to do a brain scan and in 2 seconds be like, oh, look, you have this problem. Here, take this. There, you'll be better for a week, a month, whatever. Come back then. If only. If only we were at that point. Also, I love making that hypo spray noise. I wish it was like that. It's not. So that's how my mental health journey started. The late 20s diagnosis, resistant to medication, getting medication for 10 years that didn't work. And then only over the last 2 to 3 years, like I stopped taking medication at the beginning of 2019. I went manic for all of 2019, basically. Lost my pet at the end of 2019. That triggered a massive depressive episode. And so with the first part of 2020, I just didn't function. And just as soon as I started to feel a little bit better, global pandemic. So it's been a wild ride over the past 3 years. I was able to get help for medication over 2020, and I was attempting to get back into the workforce in 2020. It just didn't. Clearly not the best time to do it. And the only thing I found out by going through the options I had available were, I'd be good in the entertainment industry. Yeah, the entertainment industry that was non-functional for all of 2020. And is only starting to get back on track now. So this is what I'm doing now for a job. I get to make my own hours. I get to drink whiskey. I get to hang out with people safely in my comfort level, which I won't be doing in the next few days. So that'll be the next week, not even a week, 4 or 5 days. Oh, things are going to get really intense real soon, and I'm not quite ready for it. Scott Pigley, I will fight until my dying day to change the thought process that mental illness equals weakness. Yes, please do, because it has nothing to do with that. It's part of the stigma. It doesn't mean you're weak. It just means, like anything, something's changed and there's ways to treat it. The basics for it, the easiest way to do it, and it's not always the most logical, but say you broke your arm, say you lost your leg. I mean, you're not weaker or less of a person because of it. It's just something that happened to you, and then you have to cope with it. That's a lot of what mental illness is, especially in the case of bipolar. It's not going to go away. I'm just managing it as best I can. And that's a daily thing. That's a constant, like all the time, where most people just get up and go and do stuff and have routines and do the things, go to work. That's what they do, and they're fine. There's nothing really like slamming into them all the time. But for you, it's kind of, or for me, for me in general, it's a constant struggle to just like just exist. Existence is kind of unsteady constantly. Not in the worst way, but just in a way that makes it difficult to do everything else that people are doing. For me, it's the dumb shit, and I hate saying it. I don't hate saying it. I don't like admitting it. There we go. The basic, like keeping up an apartment that's clean. Got a little help from that recently, thanks to donations and such. Doing dishes, doing laundry, getting out of bed sometimes. I've been a little better at that the past year, but the sleeping issues are constant. I've always had sleeping issues as far as I can remember, where even if I go to bed at a certain time and wake up at a certain time, I'm still tired, and I may fall asleep later in the day. It's just, I'm tired right now, but I'm kind of pushing through it. It's one of those things, I can feel it in my eyes, and it's not pleasant. But it's there, and you don't know about it unless I tell you. Oh God, that was yesterday. Yeah, I did. I did some low-key work. Like my father has an audiobook that I'm working on right now. Listened to that, played a few games, kind of just staying relatively chill. Thank you, Cliff, because it wasn't bad. Like us getting there and having drinks and stuff, that was fine. But near the end of it, when it started to get real busy and loud, that's where I started to get real tense. Yes. I had a good counselor for a number of those 10 years. And it was good that I got a voice instructor to get me out of my comfort zone and help me learn I had a thing that I can use that people enjoy, that I kind of carried around all the time. I'm not a huge fan of my voice. It didn't help when I started editing videos, but when I sing, it's kind of a different thing, and I can't pretend I don't have some ability. There are too many people who enjoy what I've done with that for me to be like, no, my voice is crap. I mean, it's not. I feel like it could always be better, but that's the thing. Info team. There we go. Oh, Stefan Whiskey, hello. Thank you enough for your openness on mental health, Brian, your support. Brian, and your support. We're all in this together. Much love, buddy, and can't wait for it. Yes. Thank you, Stefan Whiskey, for popping in. Hit the like button. I mean, but yeah, their event tonight should be fun. They're giving away a lot of stuff. I donated. You should donate too, because you could get whiskey. That's the best thing. That's what I like doing anyways. Doing stuff where people get whiskey. That is true. One of those little, not euphoria moments, but when it was like, oh, my mom can sing, my dad can sing, my brother can sing. Maybe I should find out if I can sing. Turns out I can't. I may be doing videos about that in the future. Again, I have to get through a big hurdle in my head to feel comfortable doing it, and I want to do it a certain way. That's the problem, because this is my setup right now, the webcam and this. And with the songs, at least, I don't want it to be exactly the same. I'd like to do something different, but haven't quite gotten it in my head how to do it. Hell, even this area where I'm at now has changed a little bit, and I have changed things slightly that make it look almost professional, like the microphone being up there instead of right here next to my keyboard so you can hear me push every single key. Scott Pigley says, this is revealing something about me that most don't know in the whiskey community, but I'm physically disabled and a double leg amputee. I know that feeling of people doubting your abilities. Scott Pigley, thank you for that one. That's rough. I can understand it. I can relate. I know one of the things that I kind of figured out overall with, how do I put this? Disability in general should be a very large umbrella. It can't be something that is just physically disabled, mentally disabled, PTSD. We put a lot of categories and they seem like very different things. And they are a lot of the time. A physical disability goes into mental disability eventually. I mean, you can't, if something like that happens to you, there is a lot of mental trauma. And with mental trauma, it just affects, I like to say, this is the thing that I say, mental and physical well-being are kind of intertwined. One kind of plays off the other. I know, well, it's not a very good example. Nothing I say is going to be a good example for physical disability because I've never had anything really, really serious happen to me in that regard. But it's intertwined. Like, everyone should know that, because I'm trying to think of a good example. Examples are not my strong suit today. Disability is stigmatized overall. We'll say that. Whether it be mental, physical, or the one that bothers me the most is when it's trauma. That's something that's ignored a lot of the time. My brain does not want to work at all today. I've been doing too much stuff and it shows. What's my point? Yeah, there's a very big umbrella on disability, is I think where I'm trying to get at. And it's kind of all encompassing. And a lot of the times no one wants to be under that umbrella. That's one of the things that's very apparent. Like saying mental disability, let's say, isn't easy because I had to accept that I was disabled. Not in a way that anyone can see. When anyone looks at me, they don't think anything's really wrong, except I got a really crazy mustache. That might be a giveaway. But for the most part, with mental illness, you can't see what's wrong, and yet you're disabled. Like, I'm on SSDI. I'm on Social Security Disability because my mental illness is so bad that sometimes I can't get out of bed. Sometimes I can't leave my apartment. Or it's just very, 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 very difficult to do so. Blah. I'm not the best with traveling and large crowds and noise. There are a lot of things that bother me. I'm very irritable. A lot of bipolar disorder has to do with mood and feeling. And if you're a white man in America, you're not allowed to feel anything unless you're outraged and angry. Those are okay. And you yell. You're yelling, that's fine. God. The point is, there are stereotypes, and there are, what's the other thing? I don't want to say misunderstanding, that's not true. There are certain concepts about being a person, and especially being a man with having emotions and feelings and just going through those feelings. Like, it was very hard to accept. Like, I had to deal with the fact that I'm not emotionally well. There are things that are wrong with me all the time. And I don't know how I'm going to be tomorrow. I might wake up and not be able to get out of bed. I might wake up and I want to decide I want to go to Maine or Block Island or Cape Cod or Martha's Vineyard or something, just because I feel like it in the moment. And I have to kind of go like this in my head, just like pull the reins back and be like, maybe wait on that thought. Take a moment, sit back and be like, let's see. Like, even this Kentucky trip that's coming up at the beginning of November, I'm trying to figure out if it's something, because it's something I want to do, or because I'm just in that kind of state of mind where I need to be like moving and doing things. It's something I wanted to do a year ago. So that hasn't changed. It's just going to be a very different experience for me because it's going fairly far away to a place I'm not really familiar with. That should be fun. I want to go to Kentucky. That's kind of the bottom line. But with every sort of thought like that, or everything I might try to do, I have to be cautious. I don't like being that cautious all the time, but I have to be. So I'm very cautious with drinking these days. It can get out of hand. As I found out last week, I wasn't really paying attention. And I talked about it already. I accidentally poured the wrong whiskey. It was a very high proof. I didn't think about that. I poured another whiskey. And the rest is history, we'll say. I did not feel great the next day. But I had a good time. So that's something. That was last Sunday. Yeah, that's right. It was last week. That's why I couldn't do a whiskey stream. But I did today. We're having whiskey today. And again, I'm going to go over some Buffalo Trace stuff. Feel free to talk about mental health here. That's kind of the little thing going on right now. I know in my case, the diagnoses are bipolar 2. They call it either general anxiety or social anxiety disorder. And then there was another one. So it's general depression, because that feels like one. No, ADHD stuff, or ADD, the inability to stay focused on things. Stay focused when I want to, and then when I'm just trying to do something. Like, I'm very focused on computer games and video games. I can do that. But I'll also be bouncing around. I have 2 screens. I'll be like watching something at the same time or listening to something at the same time. And then everything else fades away and I don't think about it. Suddenly, it's almost time to go live on a stream. Woo! But in this case, at least, it's something I am intimately familiar with. It's on my shirt. Glad you asked. That's Flaming Skull guy. No, this is gonna be one of those days where I can't remember things, isn't it? David Gishki, hello. It's not Knight Rider. Somebody help me out. He's a guy who rides a motorcycle who's technically from hell. He avenges, he revenges. Why can't I remember his name? I'm wearing the shirt. And I just saw him actually show up in a recent series I was watching. Ghost Rider, yes. Paw. That took a while. I told you, it's one of those days. But yes, that's Ghost Rider. I had a little thing I was going to go off on where I kind of wanted to use examples of double people, or people with sort of double egos, double meanings, double. Boiling trouble. No, wait. Point is, I found it very interesting as I was growing up to look at a bit of history to find out a little more about me. I would lean towards certain characters. Many people did. I'm not the only one. This being one of them, you know, a guy who's just sort of normal and okay and just kind of did his own thing, and then flick a switch and he becomes something very dangerous and chaotic. Same thing goes for, what else was a good example? What was an example I liked? That was sort of like a double person. Not really personalities. I mean, this isn't a personality. This is kind of a thing that took the guy over. But similar idea. You know, you're one way in one moment and then another way in another. Drastically different. I had another one. I wanted to say Batman, but that doesn't quite feel right. But it's the same kind of idea where you're one way at one time and another way another time. For them, it was usually some kind of choice. I know with Ghost Rider, he did and did not have the choice occasionally. The Hulk is another good example where he was one way most of the time, but if something set him off, you're in trouble. Two-Face is a dangerous word, but Two-Face himself, yes. Two-Face, the guy who is his way of doing things was to flip a coin, and that was also very dangerous for people around him. That's a good example. I thought you meant two-faced as in the meaning of the person, and I was a little scared for a second. You did not mean that. You meant the character Two-Face. Who else? There are plenty. There are plenty of examples. I had one in mind, and now it's evading me at the moment. Oh, and I also I leaned towards characters that had difficulties with emotions, specifically Star Trek stuff, like Spock up here, who I moved. But Spock he would repress his emotions. And if you're dealing with bipolar, you're not repressing your emotions, but you're kind of handling them a lot. You have to be aware of them when they're happening, or else they can get out of hand. Like, I'm very irritable a lot of the time. The Human Torch? What, Flame On guy? And Data from Star Trek. That was another one where he didn't know how to feel. That was almost some kind of mental problem in itself. I mean, he was an android, but not being able to feel like others, not being able to empathize with people around him, that's a pretty serious thing. I believe that's a mental problem of some sort. I don't remember what kind, but it exists. So I was always leaning towards those kind of characters. It was either very extremes. I can't think of good examples other than what I'm listing off. I got a few: Ghost Rider, Batman, the Hulk, Two-Face. Although he was an okay guy at the start, and then he got freaked out. So mental trauma caused him to have two personalities suddenly. Wow, what a shock. If only they didn't send him to Arkham Asylum and actually got him some good help. Libation Explanation says, I love how fearless you are about talking about mental illness issues and your own examples. You are an inspiration. I don't think I'm a thank you. I just want to be what do I want? I'm not trying to be anything. I'm just trying to talk about what I've experienced and let other people know that it's something that you can deal with in one way or another, and that you can get help. That's the hard thing to say. You want to tell somebody you can't get help, but when they're in a depressive episode or they're dealing with mental illness, whatever you say doesn't really matter. It's kind of how it is in my head sometimes with compliments or when I do something or when I don't do something. I mean, just whatever. I'll always think about it. There are plenty of things like regrets and mistakes that I have that are kind of constant. Believe it or not, my YouTube channel is a big one, and I try very hard for it not to be. I know one thing I should not do is compare my channel to others, but I always do it. And I try very, very hard not to let it get to me. Cool Running. Hello, welcome. Welcome. That's the danger with social media and having some kind of social media outlet of any kind, where you start to compare yourself based on numbers. That's not healthy in the long run, so don't do it. Or try not to do it. I definitely want to see success of some sort or improvement. And the worst part is, though, in all honesty, seeing improvement doesn't always guarantee I'll feel like I've done something. It's kind of I don't know if catch-22 is the right phrase, but how do I put this? Like, hitting 500 subscribers was a big deal. It really was. But as soon as I did, the only thing that came in the back of my mind was, well, you're not at 1,000 yet, are you? It's like that kind of negative inner dialogue that's constantly there. Yeah, sometimes. You get very distracted by them. I'm trying to think of other good examples. The Hulk is a pretty good one because he can't control that. He comes out of it, but it's kind of like having a manic episode where you're fine. Something triggers you. You go nuts for a while, and then you come back later and you're like, what happened? What did I do? Oh gosh, not again. Also, be sure to like and subscribe. Gotta say that every 15 minutes or so. Hit the bell. Oh. Also, let me know what's in your glass if you have not told me yet. Words. What else? Who else is a good example? We got the Hulk. That was pretty good, although it's very violent. So that was one of the other little things I have to worry about with mental health problems. I think that's one of the stigmas, at least in American culture, where you say you have mental problems, mental illness issues, mentally disabled, and suddenly you're compared to like murders, people who just go off because they probably didn't get the help they needed, clearly. But I know my prime example for me at the moment, for now, I grew up with Columbine. Like, I was in high school, wearing a black trench coat and having black hair when that happened. That did not help when I already was not mentally well and I knew it. Well, I didn't know, but I was mentally not good in high school. And then suddenly everyone turns and looks at you a different way after an event you had nothing to do with. Like I was not, that mindset was not there for me. I didn't particularly like high school. I wasn't a huge fan of a lot of people around me. I was not about to go and do something nuts, like just out of it. Like those kids needed help real bad and they didn't get it. But I had to deal with that situation where society itself looked at you a different way. Suddenly, it was very uncomfortable. Even though they knew you. Like I'd grown up with a bunch of those kids in high school. I'd be like middle school to high school. And yeah, I changed a bit. My hair got longer. I wore a black trench coat. But I wasn't about to go off on everybody. But it was weird to live through that phase because that felt like the beginning of a lot of tragedy that came afterwards. But mental illness is often like plugged into that. I mean, even the violent video games thing was in there as well. I play a lot of violent video games all the time. You know, that other part of it was not there. It can be. But again, that's if it is there, it's not the game. It's the person. Oftentimes, that's the issue. Oh gosh. Can't control his anger except for the one time when he could for some reason. And to this day, it still annoys me that the directors did that. I understand that. Harley Quinn sits in there as well. She was like a psychologist. And then she like she went through, what would I call that? That is an abusive relationship with the Joker. And he kind of manipulated her. So it's that kind of mental problem. Like she had to deal with a really bad mental illness person. And they did a lot of, what do I call it? It was a toxic relationship. So she got sucked into his life, and it affected her in a very bad way. Very bad. She should know better. She was a psychologist, a psychotherapist. Sugar Kitty, hello. Welcome. Oh, gosh, yes. No, they are not. No, they're not Scott Paisley. That's not really a political issue in my mind. It can be viewed as such, but in my mind, the police themselves should be trained to handle many situations. They have a really shit job. That's a hard job. However, I feel like the training is flawed there, and I know there's a lot of history with the police themselves and what they're doing overall. Again, I don't want to get political, but it became political. It's weird. Before I could have opinions about police, and now it's like a real touchy subject. I'm not a fan. I don't like getting pulled over. Do you? No. But yes, Scott Paisley, one real close to home thing that is unpleasant to hear because it happened right next door before the crazy lady moved in. So there was a guy who lived next door. He was younger than me. He had mental illness issues as well. I don't know exactly what they were, but he wasn't all there all the time. And he was a big guy. Like if he got angry or violent, he could hurt people. And I mean big, like big and really tall, not, like jacked. So he had mental illness. I only had to deal with him directly once in my life where he asked me for a ride and I dropped him off down the street. That was it. We didn't even have any conversation other than that. But here's the thing. You can look this up if you look really hard on Google. He went to see his mother and he was having an episode. He was having a really bad mental illness episode. And the police came in there and they couldn't deal with him. He's a big dude. They're probably yelling at him. That never helps. So I don't know the details. I don't know exactly what happened. I know, though, he died. He got pepper sprayed or something. He probably had a number of health issues, if I'm being honest. He was a very, very big dude. And getting worked up like that and running around and just... Let's just say there were probably a number of factors into the cause of his death. But a conflict with law enforcement, I feel it's kind of what killed him. He got into that situation. Law enforcement didn't know how to handle it, so they pepper sprayed him. I don't know what the hell happened. No one really does. I mean, I haven't dug into it, but I know what happened because he used to live next door and he's dead now. And his mother got a lot of money out of that. That's probably not it's not helpful to her, having that happen to her and getting all that money. But it was a very close to home, literally close to home example of how dangerous it can be to have mental illness and how, unfortunately, the police are not equipped to deal with that yet. I know there's some little changes going on, so hopefully that'll cool down and they have to realize there's going to be problems like that in the future. It's a thing. And dealing in violence, the police are very aggressive in situations. And in those kind of situations, aggression doesn't always help. There are a lot of police who are not, but in those situations, they're not trained to deal with it. They're not therapists. They're not social workers. They're not psychologists. They don't know when someone is mentally ill and when someone is just going off and just don't care. They're pretty close. I often feel like mental illness is intertwined with a lot of violence and crime. Not all the time. A lot of time it's just situational. But in general, mental illness gets equated with crime, with violence, with, if you can't be like around that person by yourself sort of thing. It's great. It's a great feeling. But that's been kind of interwoven in our society since mental illness is still not talked about openly. As the example I like using is you should be able to talk about your mental health like you talk about the weather, or at the very least about your physical health. Like people are always talking about how they're losing weight or how they gained weight or how they went to the gym or what else? How they're eating, like what they're eating. Food especially is very important to people who are trying to deal with their physical weight and physical appearance. But as soon as you're talking about your mental health, your mental wellness, and just what's going on with your life that's bothering you and causing problems, people tense up because they don't know how to deal with it. It's very hard for people to, it's not relate, empathize. Empathy is something that's not always easy to handle because you can't really experience what the other person is feeling. You can only go off what you've dealt with. So a good one is grief. Like I lost my pet cat 2 years ago. It still just sits inside my chest in a way. And many other people have lost pets before. But I can't know how they felt. I can only have a vague idea because it's happened to me. So being empathetic with someone is not easy because you may not understand them in the same way just because of what's happened. That makes sense? Probably not. Well, the political part is that the initial reaction to violent mental issues is to send police rather than trained counselors. Yes, that is one of the major problems. Better policies towards the mental illness community. Yes, I agree. Basically, we don't have a mental illness task force yet. We should. We don't. And again, donations tonight, the link in the comments is for Stuff and Whiskey, their charity event going on at 9 p.m. my time. So 9 p.m. Eastern time. I think they're Central. I'm not quite sure. I'm not even sure if that's right. I set a reminder for myself. So there's that. Also, remember to hit the like button and subscribe and bell. Bell helps because I occasionally do Wednesday videos. I'm going to do Wednesday streams. All right, since we're in Buffalo Trace land, kind of. I know I did a Buffalo Trace stream a little while ago, but a lot of the fundraiser bottles for this evening are going to be Buffalo Trace-ish. I think there's a Blanton's. I think there's a Weller. There's a bunch of stuff you might be able to get just for donating to their cause. So get on it. It's an Eagle Rare because that's a favorite of mine, as many of you may know. Good stuff. But what I should say is their stream is going live after it's bourbon night. Okay, thank you, Sugar Kitty. I thought so, but my brain, of course, just doubted everything. Oh, there you go. Hello. Yes. Okay, cool. And I knew you were at a different time zone, so my brain was like, it's 9 p.m. Or is it? And immediately I was doubting myself. Welcome to mental illness. Ugh. Yes, lots of Buffalo Trace goodness. All the more reason for me to drink more Buffalo Trace. Eagle Rare, Weller, Blanton's. I have actual Buffalo Trace, which is just okay. But yeah. Oh, if you didn't know, for good news, I got to try Eagle Rare 17 year recently. It's pretty good. I don't think I'd buy a bottle of it considering the cost, but I was glad to try it. Got to try a lot of good stuff last Friday. It was wonderful. Prepping myself for this Thursday. If some of you don't know, I'm going to Texas as of Thursday, which is in 4 days. And here's the thing. With my mental problems, I don't know how to feel. Well, I know I should feel differently. How's that? For doing something like that. So most people would think, yeah, Scott Bigsley, yes, best is ball. Most people would feel very excited and looking forward to it. Like, I know that's what I should be doing right now. I know they should have little anxiety. I mean, travel right now is kind of crazy. But for me, even though I know it's something I want to do, and something I've wanted to do for years, there's a lot of hesitancy and just anxiety. It's probably the easy one to say about going. Because I didn't like airports before. Like 2019, 2018, I was not a huge fan of airports. I don't like being in them. I'm not a huge fan of being on planes. I don't mind it. I have to have a window seat, because if I have a window seat, I can at least look out the window and watch what's happening. It's kind of surreal being able to fly in the sky. But I don't mind it. Like, so my fear of heights doesn't get triggered or anything by that. I do have a fear of heights, but it's mostly if I'm standing up somewhere high. Whereas if I'm in a plane, it's just, well, I'm in a plane. It doesn't make sense, I know, but it's true. Thursday is when I'm going on the flight. So a lot of the anxiety is based around Thursday. And then there's a lot going to happen over the next few days, which is going to be intense. There's going to be a lot of people that I'd like to meet. So there's that. There's that weird feeling about wanting to meet people and not knowing how to approach them in person. Because I can do it. I can meet people, but it's always kind of awkward, especially, and it shouldn't be. That's the weird part. I shouldn't feel awkward about people I've known for years, except I've known them like this. Just on here. I haven't met them in person. There's very few people I've actually met in person. A few. Ask them how I handled it. See, I probably handled it well enough, but Grenroth was 12 today. Decent dram, much better than the watery and underflavored 10-year-old. Good to hear. It's always interesting to get a few scotches. Well, everything moved. Were you able to check on flight costs and see if they were an option? You mean for Texas or Kentucky? Because Texas is the one that's already set in stone for Thursday. The one to Kentucky has not been set yet. There's just a maybe I will fly there, probably not. Because donations are low. I have to get a lot of donations before the deadline in November for me to actually be able to fly there. Because it's now just flight and then car rental. So that's a lot of money that I'm probably not going to get. And a lot of the money that's being donated over the next week, if there is any, will be going to Partners in Health. Well, tonight it's this one. It's the Stuff and Whiskey. Because they were prepared. They have been setting up this event for a while. And I only found out about it recently. I was like, oh crap, I should have done that. I'm all about mental health, and I just totally blanked out on this day. So they're doing one for me, basically. Or at least they're doing it in lieu of me being able to get my shit together. So thank you, Stuff and Whiskey. I'm glad someone's doing it, because I should have and I didn't. But then I would have felt bad. If I had set up an event and it was like overlapping yours, I'd rather just promote someone else, because then I don't have to do the work. And I'm very sketchy about charities. Like, I never know which is a solid charity. So thankfully other people can usually figure that out for me. Blah. And for the one that I've been dealing with, the Pizza Miss Partners in Health. I've known about that for a long time, and they do that every year. I'm always involved. Like I always get, well, I don't have it on now, but I always get T-shirts. I'm always donating kind of indirectly, so might as well do it directly. Yeah, they did change it up on us. I heard Southwest is being weird about flights, so keep an eye on that, please. Scott Biggs says, yeah, I feel it, Brian. I'd love to go, but it's not in the cards because of the COVID hesitancy. Yes, I am very COVID hesitant, but I've gotten my 2 jabs. I will be getting tested on Tuesday. I don't wanna. If being perfectly honest, my hope was I would never have to get tested because I would never be in a situation where I might be sick. And I'm fairly certain I'm not sick right now, but just in case, and that adds more anxiety. Like I get tested and they say I have COVID and then I can't go. That would be absolutely awful. That'd be like the reverse anxiety. So I have double anxiety right now. Anxiety about going, anxiety about maybe not going because I got sick suddenly. I'm fairly certain that will not happen, but it's in there. Taking a top hat? When did he mention that? I don't have a top hat. Oh, wait. There are top hats that I have. They don't fit. And they're fake. They're not real ones. Yes, we were talking about Kentucky last week. So yes, I have been looking at the prices of Kentucky, and they're still around $300, $400, which is bonkers. But that's how it is, unless I go by car, and it'll cost just as much, if more, and probably, I don't know if my car will make it. I hope it will. It won't cancel it. It'll just kind of be there, kind of sitting in the corner of my mind, watching and waiting. That's kind of how anxiety is. It just sits there and watches you. Yes. Whoop. Yeah, I can understand that. But my brother got COVID not long ago. That's the kind of, he was going to go to Florida. This is really where it stems from. My brother had planned to go to Florida, got tested for COVID. Guess what? You got COVID. You're not going. And he's in Florida right now, I believe. So he got to have his time traveling, but wow, what a knock to everything. With the wild car rental prices now, you may pay less by using Uber or Lyft yeah, that's what I was thinking, but it all depends. It all depends on the generosity of the community and if I'm able to get a flight at all and if I will just take my car anyway, because then I don't have to really worry about driving where I want to go. Did he? For me or for him? Like people are going to wear top hats because it's a bastard's ball. I assume for just in general. I want to bring a top hat if that's an option, but I don't have one that like folds because, trying to travel with a top hat, it's easy if it's a folding one. If it's not, you have this giant hat you have to deal with. Enjoy your food, sir. Thank you for stopping in. Woo. Music for airports, really? I usually used to listen to audiobooks or music, or people have asked me, like, how do you deal with your anxiety when you're traveling? I don't travel very often, by the way. I'm doing a lot in the next month or so for whatever reason, just how the cars are flying out right now. But it's always been, plugging something into my ears and just escaping to my cell phone. I have to find out some games. Shit. Does anyone know any good phone games that you can play that don't require being connected to anything? Because I know if I'm up in the air, they're not going to have any. Well, they might have Wi-Fi. But overall, it's unlikely that I'll have that. So I either read. I have a tablet. I can have books that I can read, but I'm not great at reading. It's kind of not easy to read. Again, mental health problems. Yay. Kenny says the flights are a bit cheaper if you can fly out one day earlier or on the day later. The Orbit's grid of the days show flying on Friday is definitely premium of 150. Yeah, I'm going early. I think I'm going. I shouldn't say going. I don't know how I'm traveling to Kentucky right now, but the stay is for Friday. So the idea is I'll land there. I can't check in until 3 p.m. So it is a Friday flight if I do that, which is rough, I'm sure. Unless I can get there Thursday. You know what I might do? If I do fly, again, big if, is I'll probably try to get a flight for Thursday, and then I'll just land there and stay somewhere, like find a little hotel and just stay there for the night, and then the next day I can just kind of do whatever I want for the day and then check in at 3. Again, maybe. This is all up in the air maybe stuff. And I'm not great at planning my own trips. So there's that. This is probably the first trip I've officially planned on my own. And other than the staying somewhere, which is, again, to my folks, because they support me all the time, which is good. But it'd be great if I could just do it my own way. With my own way. Although with the points, it just makes more sense to use those. I don't even know where I'd stay. Like, again, I've looked at Kentucky, and I'm still trying to figure out where I want to go overall. It's a lot of planning. I'm not great at planning stuff. But let's just say travel stresses me out. For mental health stuff, it just does. Can I do it? Yes. Is it the best? No. Events always stress me out because I always feel that if I go to an event, something big is going to happen. Usually I just want to have a good time. But in this case, there's going to be a lot of networking. Like I'm going to meet a bunch of other people from other channels. That's a big thing for the first time in person. What else? It's a big event. The Bastards of All is something I've wanted to go to since 2017, 18, whatever the first one they did was. I wanted to be there. I'm glad I wasn't because it was August, so screw that. But I wanted to go even early on. I had hoped to go in 2019. We didn't go, but we did visit Texas later. And I did get to meet Rex and Daniel when they showed up in Rhode Island, so that was fun. I also got to meet Irene that way. So there's a lot of, there's stuff like that. It's that kind of meetings and stuff that's happened over the past few years where it's very poignant-ish. Poignant, is that the right word? It's little verification marks, I guess. It's like I'm doing the right thing somehow. Like the idea of Rex and Daniel showing up in Rhode Island. That itself blew my mind. These two guys who I just happened to stumble across about whiskey when I was just getting into whiskey. And I've been watching their stuff for a long time, and I wanted to go to the Bastards Ball, and suddenly they land in the state I live in. And I find out there's this lady an hour away who does a lot of whiskey stuff and does great picks. In fact, I may pour some of hers later on. It's sitting right here still. Serendipity? That sounds like a good word. Serendipity. The in-flight entertainment usually has some games, or at least it's the way I work to work it. Well, I don't know. The flights I go on are usually usually Southwest. I think I know if I do fly this time, it will not be Southwest simply because they don't land in Lexington. Yeah, which is where I want to be. Temple Run and Crossy Road. I assume those are games. Orbit shows flights starting at $257 on Thursday. $296. Yeah, it's $40 more. Yeah, well, again, a lot of it is just if. Like if I can get almost $300 more for the channel. I've gotten some. I think I got I remember what. Oh, and I got Patreon stuff, which helped. So I got Patreon money to see recently. By the way, I have a Patreon. See how that works in? I don't even have to try. It just actually naturally happened there. So I have a Patreon you can join for $5 if you'd like to support me on a monthly basis. I appreciate it. It just costs you 1 cup of coffee at Starbucks. There. Done. And also you can subscribe, which requires you to do this. And it's free. And the like button. You can click 3 times and change someone's life. Mostly mine, which would help. Trying to get that sweet, sweet YouTube revenue. Oh, already got 4,000 hours. It's just the subscribers, folks. Think about it. Oh, I almost poured out my nose. And that would be bad. What else can I talk about with mental health? I really want to try to stay on topic with that. We got another hour. Oh, it's burning. I have more whiskey to drink. Don't worry. I think one of the weirdest things, or one of the most difficult things to talk about, is how having mental illness affects your regular life. And it's, again, people don't see that. You know, they see you when they how do I put this? So the way you're perceiving me now is kind of an Instagram-ish life. If that makes sense. You will see only the bits I want you to see. I talk about mental health openly, but for the most part, you're only seeing this right now. You know, this part I'm willing to share at the moment, in the moment. Whereas once this camera's off, you have no idea what my life is like. And it's not easy. It's not like criminally hard or extremely difficult, because there are a lot of people who have much more difficult life than I do. But in general, don't compare yourself to others in that way. It doesn't help. Brian, talking to myself. In general, mental health is a kind of unseen thing, mostly. And if it is seen, it's kind of ignored or at least avoided. Specific things I can think about are, if you see someone in a wheelchair, that's not mental health, that's disability. Or if you see someone who has Down syndrome, or if you see a homeless person on the street talking to themselves, and you know, they probably have issues, very severe issues, but you avoid it, or at least it makes you slightly uncomfortable, that kind of thing. What else? But as for seeing mental health, you don't see mental health problems all the time. While the people who suffer with mental health deal with it all the time. Oh yeah, my sleep's awful, by the way. Yes, I did mention that earlier. I said, what did I say? I forget. I said about mental health and my sleep. Oh yeah, I was talking about what I've had sleeping issues since I was a kid. My mother can attest to that. I used to stay up late and watch Nick at Night. So I grew up watching a lot of I Love Lucy and Dick Van Dyke, and I think Welcome Back, Kotter was one that showed up later on. Did I watch Mork and Mindy? I feel like I did. Watched a lot of the old school stuff. What else was there? There's something else I liked. Dick Van Dyke, I Love Lucy. Mary Tyler Moore, that was one. Bob Newhart. Oh, these are the classics. I can remember falling asleep on the couch and drinking a lot of root beer. Seems very important. My PTSD nightmares limit my sleep, which in turn makes the other symptoms so much worse. Yes, it does. I know just recently, let's say hold on, I can actually check the date. Hey, Whiskey Mountain! Hello! Welcome. Welcome. Glad I'm moving away from the culture of keeping it to yourself, man up, and slowly more into being open and promoting and getting help. Yes, that's the least I can do as far as being a dude, a man. Oh, boy. There's a stigma about men and mental health. And believe it or not, men have a lot of mental health problems typically because of the environment that you grew up in, where it's just what Whiskey Mountain just said, like man up kind of thing. That's not healthy. There's no. Here's a good example I have. Now, I don't know this for a fact because I have never been a father, but to be a father, you need to be emotionally available to your child. If you are not, it's going to affect your child in a negative way. And for the most part, I hope, most fathers are very open and emotional and caring with their child. I know it's not the case everywhere, but that's the example I have in my head, where if you want to be a father, you got to be emotionally available. And you can't pretend like that's not a thing. You can't pretend you don't have emotions, or you're being a man by holding in your sadness and your fear and your, I don't want to say anger, but that's another one. You need to express anger in a safe and positive way and not let it just sit in you and build up, like, because it hurts. This is another example of mental and physical being intertwined. If you're holding down emotional stuff, like if you're holding down anger or grief or sadness or fear or rage, If you're just sitting on that and letting it sit inside you, you can almost feel it. It's all usually around here, or at least in your neck and shoulders and stuff. But it is going to start doing damage to you physically if you try to hold it in. It just does. Like, well, Whiskey Mountains can help me with this. Whiskey Mountains, is it science? I hope so, because otherwise I'm talking about. Anyway, for the most part, as I understand it, it will start to wear on you. So you need to find out ways to deal with it. Exercise is a good one. Therapy is a good one. Just going to the gym and punching a bag for a while is a good one, or punching a pillow if you can't afford the gym. Some kind of physical activity to get out that kind of negative emotion. I should do more exercising, certainly. I have a lot of irritability. I don't have any hate or rage, but I do get really irritated by people a lot, all the time, actually. I was talking about nightmares. Right. I know I had one recently. Not a nightmare, but I had one of those. I had an anxiety experience while I was asleep. Bet you didn't know that can happen. Anxiety can hit you while you're sleeping. Long past, my mom's talking. Hello, Mom. Cindy is saying, long past you would have seen a father with a baby in baby front pack, or waiting with his child at a school bus stop. Makes me smile with delight when I see that now. Yeah, normally that wasn't really a thing. It was all kind of in the olden days. It was mom, the woman. That's the woman's work, and that's not a positive way to look at any kind of relationship. It's like, let her do it. She had to hold the child in her stomach for 9 months. Now it's her problem. Why would you think that's the way things work? Hello, welcome. You've been working in the mental health for the past 17 years. The stigma is definitely real. Definitely is starting to change, but unfortunately not fast enough. No, definitely not fast enough. Unfortunately. Whoa. I don't think I can deal with fishing. I'm not good with like tiny sharp things. It's probably not the best thing for me to be handling. What was I saying about the thing? That's my appointment. I have an appointment tomorrow, and my phone's telling me that, which is good because I would forget. Back. So I was talking to a friend of mine, a good friend of mine. She was in my dream of some way, and it like snapped me out of my sleep. And suddenly I thought something was wrong. Like I thought something had happened to her. No logical reason for that. Stop doing that. And that was on Thursday? What day was that? Hold on. I gotta check now. Beep, beep, bop, boop, boop. Friday. Like Friday morning or Thursday night. I think I had some kind of anxiety-induced dream where I woke up and I thought something happened to a friend of mine. So I had to message him and be like, hey, are you all right? And that's happened before. I have a really prime example that I don't think anyone knows about. I don't think even my mom knows about it, where I had some kind of anxiety dream when I was a kid. Hit the like button. Sorry. And I woke up and I thought one of our cats was dead. So I had to go find that cat, and I just had to sit with the cat for a little while. It's great. Definitely. My Whiskey Mountain says, definitely it's legit science. The increased anxiety leads to increased levels of certain hormones and prolonged inflammation. Not good for your body. Yes, so my body's going to fall apart in about 5 years. He did? I got to say, I don't remember that. I remember fishing with like a few of my friends. I think it was at St. Mary's Pond or something. I had a big fishing kit at one point. I don't remember why. Again, it was probably bipolar / ADHD stuff where I would get really invested in one thing for a long time or for a brief amount of time. I remember getting a big old fishing kit for some reason. I remember getting miniatures and painting those because my friends had them and we would play with games with them. It was a very expensive habit. I've done that before. I've done a lot of things where I acquire expensive things and then get tired of it. I'm not going to get tired of whiskey anytime soon, though, because I have a lot of it and it's real good. It tastes good, where everything else was kind of a physical thing. Oh, everything moved. Wait. Okay, I think we're caught up. Anyway, what's it talking about? That's called hyper-focus, by the way. If you get invested in something very quickly and then you get tired of it very quickly, or you get really invested in it for a while and people can't like get you away from it, that is hyper-focus. I do that all the time with games. I play a game and I want to play it for a little while during the day and suddenly it's nighttime. You know, that'll happen because it keeps my mind occupied for a while. So it's a good thing and a bad thing. That's why I should be a Twitch streamer someday, because then I can just play games. And that'll make me income, right? Right? That's how it works, right? No? Okay. That's good. We're going to move on to, that burned. Weller, maybe? Ow, stop burning. Yeah, apparently I need higher proof stuff because the burning won't stop. Whiskey Mountain says, oh man, definitely done that. The hobby switching with my ADD. Go all out getting the tools, then a couple months later, done. YouTube seems to be sticking around for both of it. Yes. I think that's because it kind of happened naturally. And I might be releasing a video about stuff I did early on. Like I had thought about doing YouTube stuff like 20 years ago, 10 years ago, 15 years ago. And I will show the video that I found where I was going to upload it. I never did. I just didn't. But it will highlight, like I'll put little text-based stuff. I'm kind of playing off the mental illness stuff. But it was me talking like I am to you, except I wasn't talking to anything. I was talking to a camera. Quality isn't great. Cheap camera a long time ago. And it's just me talking about my own stuff. And a lot of it was me talking about mental health problems that I didn't know I had yet. So one of the things, for example, that I will say is I think too much. That's what I would say in that video. That's just anxiety, dude. That's you're thinking about stuff that's happening around you and it's affecting you and it's distracting you because you have a mental illness and you don't know it. So you'll get to see a little bit about what I was thinking about doing early on in my early days with maybe doing YouTube stuff. And then that it was me speaking about my own problems, my mental issues, and kind of my like fear of the world in general. Like there was a lot going on when I think I recorded that video. I don't remember what, but I know there was some bad stuff happening and I kind of went on a rant. Part of it's a little political because I was angry at the politics that were going on. I don't think I get too deep into it, but anyway, you might see that video this week. I have to come up with a lot of stuff for this upcoming week because it's Pizzamas. This did not intertwine well with what I stumbled into. If you weren't aware, the beginning of this month started Pizzamas, and I had no plan for it. I just knew I was going to do something, so I did. I didn't plan like saying I'm going to do a charity event for 2 weeks. Nothing. Nada. I just suddenly realized, oh crap, it's Pizzamas. I got to try and make videos 5 times, like 5 for a week, and then 5 next week. Except next week, I won't be here for 2 of those days. So I'm going to have to do a lot of stuff within the next 48 plus hours. Wait, well, hold on. I can't do math. 3 days. For the next 3 days, I'm going to be doing a lot of stuff and stressing out. And I'll be stressing out more because I have to go on a flight. And then I'll be stressing out that I can't do a stream. And then I'll be stressing out that I'll be at an event. Oh, it's going to be so much fun. It will. I'll have fun. I will have fun. I demand that I have fun. There's the Robin Hood song out of nowhere. I've had that happen. That's fun. CBD does help. It's helped me anyway, but I try to use it sparingly because it also makes me very mellow. I have a bunch of gummies right here that I might use later this evening. It helps me sleep. It really does. And it's better than trying to use alcohol. You know, that's another fear that I have is using alcohol to help me sleep. Not the best idea because it messes with your sleeping pattern. Or your waves, the brain waves. It doesn't like, no likey. RBH, hello. I don't know why. I really don't. I think it's kind of my background thought process where it's just like, because I can imagine the the opening to that movie where they're just kind of walking across the screen. It wasn't the ending. It's an easy tune as well. Yes, sir. That was another problem that I had to talk about with a lot of people. Oh, I can tell you the other hard part about medication while I'm thinking about it. Thank you for that. I just clicked the little memory. This is a trap card. Boom. Gotcha. For meds, my medical experience, trying to get medication. 1, I was resistant. 2, when I finally did, the system for that sucks. In case you didn't know, I had to go through my insurance to try and figure that crap out. That's a mess. A lot of times they try to prescribe medication that was not covered because, it's one of those, like, why not? They just said I should use this and it would help. And you're just like, no, or you pay a few $100s to get it. What the hell? Healthcare. Yay. What was the other thing? Oh, I had to go through 2 or 3 different people to get prescriptions because I talked to them for a while. They prescribed some shit. It wouldn't work. I'd get frustrated. Eventually they'd be like, all right. No, they wouldn't go away. One lady did, and she was just bad. She was fairly new, and I think she wanted to deal with like kids and easier to manage stuff like that. Anyway, so that really pissed me off. That was a bad mark on me getting meds because it was just like, well, these are the people I'm going to have to deal with. They're supposed to help me, and they're just like, nope, sorry, find someone else. Well, screw that. Another lady I was with for a while, the medication she gave me kind of worked. So I wasn't really sure. It kind of made me mellow, but it didn't really do much else. It made me gain weight. I gained at least 30 some odd pounds. I was close to 200 pounds at one point. You can go to my early videos. You will see me at a very much heavier weight. That would partially due to the medication. As soon as I stopped taking that, the weight kind of fell off of me. That was great. What else? I would also fucked up with my liver. Don't forget that part, Brian. The medication she was giving me fucked with my liver. And now I have to have my liver checked every once in a while. That's a fatty liver problem, though. So that was kind of good, I guess. The medication was messing with my blood work, my liver levels, something like that. So when they found that out, they gave me a good old, hey, let's look at your liver thing and find out I have a fatty liver. So there's that as well. So that's the good that came out of that, I guess. But for the most part, wasn't pleased with that happening, where my liver was getting messed up because of the medication I was taking, which was supposed to help, but didn't. So I went, and the lady who prescribed that, 1, we weren't doing the blood work, so I didn't know something was wrong. And 2, she bailed. Like I saw her for maybe a year and a half, and then she just went somewhere else. She's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna go work at some other place. Good luck. I was like, what? That was the second one. I think there was a third. I don't really remember. I've kind of lost track. Anyway, I didn't have a good experience with the people who were supposed to help you get medicine. And I tried to do that before. And it didn't work. It wasn't easy. Even now, I'm a little, I don't deal with it anymore. Like if I don't like something, if a medication isn't working for me, I will stop taking it. End of discussion. I've had 10 years of dealing with this bullshit. If it's acting weird, and it's making me miserable at the start, I'm not going to take it. It's not working. It's causing side effects, and I do not approve. Thankfully, these ones I haven't really done much so far. I take 4 pills a day. So if we're going into the depths of medication and mental illness, I'm proving my point here. I take something called gabapentin twice a day. It's 400 milligrams total for the whole day. So it's 200 in the morning, 200 in the evening. The other one I take is empty at the moment. I need to get it refilled. Lamotrigine. And I have to take 4 pills a day of that, and that's 50 milligrams in the morning and 50 milligrams in the evening. So that's fun for the rest of my life, as long as it doesn't screw me open. Side effects of that have been mild, thankfully. Nothing serious. Where was I? Hold on. Oh, that was that. Excuse me. Like you said, We don't see your life when the cameras go off. I'm always encouraged to hear when you get out to Starbucks and the spin light. Yes, I try to do little crap like that. As I said, it's kind of an Instagram life, but in my case, if you're a patron, you see a lot more of kind of the inner bullshit that happens with me. You see a little bit of the private life in there since you're helping me out financially. I can at least tell you how I'm doing, I guess. But that's Patreon. By the way, I'm Patreon. $5 a month gets you looking at a mental ill person all the time. I mean, occasionally. You see how I'm doing, in general, day-to-day stuff. And also I can give you a little Q&A stuff and notifications about stuff. Is that good? You know. For the most part, it also helps me figure stuff out. So if I want to do a video and I'm not sure what whiskey to do, I'll have a list and ask people. So that helps. It helps me kind of narrow things down. Make sure to like and subscribe. Sorry. It comes right after the Patreon thing. Hit that bell. Blech. What's my point? Oh, but with Instagram. So if you don't follow my Instagram down there, you get to see like when I make myself food, because that's a big deal, believe it or not. Or if I go out and have some food at a restaurant with my folks, usually, or occasionally by myself, just to do that exposure therapy, going to a bar and sitting there and interacting with a human being I don't know that well, having a drink, very important. What else? Oh yeah, getting to go to a spin class is very important. I know I need to get myself exercising, but that costs money. And believe it or not, doing outward exercise anywhere else has gone up in price over the last year or two for reasons. There's a spin place right down the street I've been going to for years, but the prices went up to $20 per class, and it's a 45-minute class, so can't really afford that. I'm going on Tuesday, I think. So I do have one class scheduled to kind of get out some of this anxiety about this week. So hopefully that'll help. And then I have an appointment to check to make sure I don't have COVID. Yay. Because I don't. I'm making sure of that for the trip if you just showed up. Yeah, that's another little side note, mental illness stuff, or at least ADHD or whatever the heck it is, ADD, whatever I have. I still haven't quite figured that one out yet. I eat twice a day, basically. I do have an app I've been using recently to try and monitor that. Oh yeah, the side effects are great. But hopefully, that's a real tough one because medication is going to affect people differently. It's just that brain chemistry is weird. David Gishke, worst period of my life was when I was undiagnosed diabetic. Holy shit, sweaty, thirsty, and eternally tired day in and day out. I can't describe how miserable it is. Yes, that would do it. But again, not diagnosed. Fun. Oh, enjoy your food. Oh, they're not here. Bye. Stuff and whiskey. Get your heads on straight for tonight. Appreciate the heck of you. Thank you. And again, thank you for doing that charity event. That's pretty awesome. I don't have to try and do one. Thank you. I would like to. I'm just trying to be involved in the minor way that I can. Because, I live with it. So I like people to know that. Because they kind of have to. If you're dealing with me on a regular basis, you should know. I have to warn you. Not always there. This gun says the mechanism causing problems get understood. A way to target it is to figure out. But then the side effects kick in, and that's why. And why that has to be figured out and avoided. Yes, I think I got that. Lamictal gave me hallucinations. Cool. I chased a rabbit around my house for hours. I don't own a pet rabbit. Also talked to people on my sofa that were not there. Stop the med. Yes. I haven't had that kind of extreme, but I did have plenty of physical things that I'm not going to go into that were very unpleasant. I did not like. Adderall especially was one of them. I felt really good. Couldn't really smell and taste things, and rarely went to the restroom. It was more difficult. That was fun. Not fun. Not fun. It was doing something to my whole body. I felt real good, though, but the rest of my body was like, hey, no, not good. This is not great. You can't smell or taste anything, but I feel great. That's not the problem. Enjoy your food, Whiskey Mountain. Thanks for stopping in. Oh, wait, you said that to them. If you have food, then. Well. So, what was I talking about? Medication? Maybe? I think it was. Damn it. Yes, medication can be weird. I had a point. Where did the point go? Don't worry, I'm not just doing this for the stream that is about mental health issue. I really can't remember what I just said. I need more whiskey, clearly. That's the problem. Weller. Just a splash. And I'm going to pour some Blanton's because that's the fancy one that everyone's looking at right now, I'm sure. Oh, it burns. Yep. Sorry. Oh, I can never get into tea. That's a good option. I did get into tea. I do drink tea occasionally. I know, especially when there's a dry week. Like there's that. I guess part of what is so insidious about alcohol or drinking, and specifically when you do it kind of regularly, is when you're sitting at your desk or you're doing something and you don't have a drink nearby. You know, it's in your head. You're like, at least for me. So one of the things I do is I drink a little more tea, or I make some kind of fake cocktail, like what they call it, the driver. It's basically, and this is a Whiskey Tribe thing. They made up something called the driver. It's ginger beer, lime juice. I think it's lime juice. Something else, which I can't remember. Oh wait, it's sugary stuff. Crap. And it's red and orange juice. So there's 3 or 4 of those. And you mix that together and it makes this kind of spicy ginger beer thing. The burn of the ginger beer is similar to the burn of alcohol, which is why they pick. And also gets through dry week. Oh, what's he making? I want some. Do I enjoy cooking? Well, my mom can tell you I did take some classes or something. I did something at Johnson & Wales, which is a very big culinary institute up here. This is when I was much younger. We're talking high school-ish. So I have an idea of how to cook. I wouldn't say I enjoy it particularly because there's a lot of steps and it's kind of confusing. But the HelloFresh thing makes it easier because I don't have to go out and get the ingredients. It's just like, thump, here are the ingredients you'll need for this. That's it. That really helps. Otherwise, I don't think I'd be able to do it. I've tried. Like many times in my life, I've tried to get into cooking a little bit. And it's always just the getting of the things and the having too much and forgetting about it and letting it spoil and just not using it at all. Very common. I have plenty of times where I got a whole thing of like potatoes and just suddenly they started to grow because I forgot about them for that long. Milk. I do that with milk all the time, which is why I kind of stopped drinking milk. Unless I get it at, Starbucks or something. I will drink milk. I just won't have it here because it just always goes bad. Which makes you wonder why the hell people drink milk. It goes bad all the time. Be sure to like and subscribe. Please. It helps. I said that out loud for no reason. Slash up. Whiskey Tube has also helped, especially since I started going live. It is way out of my comfort zone, and it has connected me with you all great people. True. Part of why I started doing it's crap. So good. I think it was grenadine. I don't quite remember. I mean, yes and no. Hell, one of the earliest things that I think my mom remembers, or I remember because one of us have a clip of it somewhere. I don't quite know I was maybe 7 or 8. Ma, you can tell me when I did something like a tuna bagel and I got in a newspaper. I had a little chef's hat. I was young. I was a boy. That's like the early days of me knowing something about cooking, but I'm not a chef in any way. But I know how to cook. Wait, here he is. Here's the thing. I do enjoy baking, like making cookies and cupcakes and all that stuff I shouldn't eat. Oh, I like doing that. I like cookies. Oh, God. It's like science. It's complicated, but if you do it just right and just the right way, it's the results are very sweet, as it were. Yeah. It'll happen, especially at the Bastards Ball. Oh, good night, David Geschke. Get some sleep. Sweet dreams, sweet dreams. I don't know if I should start saying that. I usually just say sweet dreams, but sweet dreams and sweet dreams is a nice little way of putting it. Good night, and I hope you have more whiskey later. That'll be good. Well, at the very least, with the way chat's going and the viewers, I can say the thumbs are just about the same, if a little above, the viewer count. So that's nice. I like that. Keep that up. Oh, gosh, that's hot. Oh, Mom remembers stuff. Decorated the lunch back with goldfish pics. I can't recall how your food demo came out, but I don't remember either. Bag. Yes. I put goldfish on the bag, like Drew Goldfish or something. But I got in the newspaper, so I was famous. But no, I don't remember. So I've been around food making stuff for a very long time, but I've never been good at it. I especially didn't like working at Chili's, where I had to do some food prep. That was awful. I had to make those goddamn bloomin' onions. Ugh. It was an easy thing. It was take an onion, put it on this thing, and go like shunk, and it made them go like that. But it was not fun because being around onions and doing that is. You can imagine how it affected everything up here. It's just blah, madness. That was just the right amount of Weller. Next. What are we having next? This one was actually donated by Zen Dude because he didn't want it. So it's mine now. That's kind of weird, if I remember correctly. Oh, that's cool. So here we go. I think I need to do that. God damn it. Ooh, actually made a good noise. A little squeaky, but a good noise. A little bit. I have a little more after this. It's bourbon that comes on next, and stuff and whiskey goes on, so I gotta pace myself carefully. Here we go. Let's haven't eaten since breakfast, so there's that. And by breakfast, I mean noon. By the way, to clarify, when I say breakfast today, I mean noon. Will it be tomorrow at 10 or 9? Will it be tomorrow at 5 in the morning? Maybe. I hope not, because I don't want to fall asleep that early. Bloomin' onion. At a soccer dance? I don't remember that. Onion blossom. Bloomin' onion. Something like that. I remember I really liked the Chili's burgers. I don't know if I would now, but they had pretty good burgers back then. I would eat those for lunch because they were free. Only good part about working at Chili's is the food was free. Or at least one meal was free. So. Yeah, that I was stealing and I didn't know it. I don't think it was. It wouldn't just make me food. Be like, you gonna pay for this? No. Okay. What else about mental health can I talk about? It's kind of the norm for me. Well, the irritability is pretty obvious to me. Like I get really irritable being around people. That's why being around airports and restaurants and going on trips and such is so exciting, we'll say. Driving my car, that was a fun thing. People get really annoying, as you can imagine. I mean, most people get irritated by other drivers, but for me, it's a lot. I don't get road rage, but I do get really irritated by the little shit. People not using their turn signals, people diving into my lane. Just, God. Nice. And it was meant to be. It's always fun. Little moments like that. Let's see. That was not good. I think the main thing about mental illness is what it takes from you, because it's always taking. That's the little side note. Depression especially is always just taking something from you. I know in my lifetime there are things I would have liked to do, or things that things that other people do, and they just do it without too much difficulty. But mental illness takes from you. It takes time from you. It takes pleasure and enjoyment. It takes that away. Or at least it suppresses it. What else? You're constantly uncomfortable in some way. And as Whiskey Mountain said earlier, the mental problems will affect you. For me, at least lately, or at least that I'm aware of, and I talked about it, I think, on the last stream. I go see a chiropractor now because I have these lower back issues, and my dad has a real lower back issue when he was younger, so I'm trying to make sure that's not going to be a thing. I have the neck and shoulders stress. It's just this tension that's kind of constantly here, especially here. It's just there all the time. It's not comfortable. And I should see a masseuse. A lot of the muscle tension I have needs to be worked out in that way. Like cracktors work pretty well. I do feel a little better afterwards, but there's still more that needs to be done that I can tell. So once I get enough set aside, oh wait, I do have enough set aside. I keep forgetting I have a small savings account, but I know it's going to disappear at some point. So at least I can get a masseuse at some point soon, probably after the trip, maybe. There's one that was recommended down the street. I know I need to get that done, even though it's going to make me unbearably uncomfortable because some stranger will be touching me. That's another thing, touch. Believe it or not, people's closeness to me bothers me. Just their distance and even physical touch. It will bug me. It's kind of, how do I explain this? There's no good way to say it, but when people touch me and they move, it's just for even the briefest thing, they'll touch me on my shoulder, let's say, and then they'll move their hand away. It'll feel like it's still there kind of, or it'll linger, and it'll be uncomfortable because it'll feel like it's still there and it's not. So there's that. I don't know what that is, but it's unpleasant. So touch especially is a very kind of thing I actively stay away from sometimes. Not because I don't like it, but just with people I don't know or in close environments. It's just, or just being touched in general suddenly. It's just not fun. Don't like. No like. It's such a good point. It's about what it takes from you, and in so many aspects of life. Yes, I mean I can specifically think of college year stuff and high school stuff where I just did things that were, what's the word? Not outrageous, but I was doing very self-destructive behavior. Not to the point where I was doing anything extreme, but there was a lot of situations where I was drinking a lot. I wasn't doing anything. I had the reins a little bit, but I was definitely drinking too much and being in environments where I didn't enjoy myself, but I didn't quite feel comfortable. There was a lot of mistrust, and some things that happened I feel really guilty about. And later on in life, I found out I shouldn't be because it wasn't really my fault. And it's little things that have come up. I don't even want to say what one is because I don't want that out there anymore. Someday. But there are things that happened in friendships that broke them apart. There are a lot of friends I had when I was younger where we were very close for a number of years, and then we got older and things just fell apart. It sucks. One of them I didn't. I still know one of them. But for a lot of them, it just a lot happened between all of us, and I feel bad about it. There are things that I've said to women, which seemed like a really good idea at the time. Or things that I was situations I ended up in where it's oh, wait, what's happening? Oh, shit. That kind of thing. Not good. Nothing severe. No one ever got hurt. But it feels like a mistake and a little bit of a stain on my life where it's I shouldn't have done that. I shouldn't have done that. Why did I do that? And it sits there. Or why did I say that? It just sits there. It never goes away. Something I did 20 plus years ago, and it's still there in my head. You made this one mistake one time, and you're never going to forget. Little things like that mental illness does. It's great. Don't forget potential time. Serious problem with the criminalization of the mentally ill. Yes, that is something that has happened many times over the years, and I don't think it's dealt with properly. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people who are unstable mentally, and they're just put in prison. And I hate to tell you this, but being in the prison system is not going to make that person any better. It's probably going to make them worse. I don't know a lot of those kind of situations that I'm aware of, but I know it's happened. And I think another thing is just being in prison is bad. In general, when you get back out, mentally ill or not, it's affected your life. And I guess that can be seen as a mental illness thing, or it becomes something like that, or a stigma at least. I know when someone says they've been in prison, you immediately are just, what? There's that moment. If they don't tell you, it won't matter. But as soon as you hear it and you know, for some reason, it changes how you see the person. It shouldn't, but it will. Just the societal norm is that it will. Like if I went to prison, if I said I had been in prison, I haven't. I don't think I've ever even been arrested, honestly. No, I haven't. But if that statement, if I had said I had been in prison, that would change your perception. It also changed a lot about me, you know. Like I don't think I'd want to be in prison. I have not been, to clarify. I have no criminal record other than speeding tickets. And I think I had my car towed once or twice, just once. No, twice, because my stupid freaking place I live towed my car once because snow or something. I don't remember why. They were doing something, and I didn't get a notification. Like they didn't give me a slip of paper so I couldn't move my car because I didn't know I needed to move my car. That really irritated me. Nah. There's something weird about this Buffalo Trace. Buffalo Trace? Blanton, sorry. Buffalo Trace product blends. Wow. Birdie! Yeah. Zenwood, there's something weird about this one. I don't know why. That's a bit weird. There's something a bit off. Couldn't explain what. It's like a tannin thing or a green note or something bizarre like that. I guess that's kind of the random thing that can happen with blends. Is some of them taste good and some of them don't. And then people pay exorbitant prices for kind of a gamble. So that's not good. But I wouldn't say it's bad. This guy says, I used to get parking tickets so often I'd walk into City Hall to pay them. Tiny village, no online setup. And they recognize me and immediately send my license plate number. Nice. That's why I don't like going to cities. Parking is very limited. Or you have to pay for it. Like, whose idea was that? Who said, let's have you pay for parking? Let's have you pay for leaving your car here for 2 hours. I get it, but I don't like it. I really think there should be, in this day and age, there should be a way to get somewhere and be there without always having to use a car and having to park it somewhere for a cost. It should just be free parking for residents at least. Like, that's what it should be. I feel in my head that's what it should be. Like if you are a state, like if you have a state license, you should be able to park anywhere in the state for free. But that's not how it is. I know the tourists wouldn't like that, but hell, you're tourists. You're supposed to pay for wherever you're going. I'm about to find that out in a week, by the way. For the most part. Yes, that is what happened. That was like the recent towing problem. And I hope you know the actual situation there, Ron. I think I told you. I parked in a handicapped spot. And I thought about getting a handicap sticker thing before because mental illness, disability, it's a thing. But I don't think I'd go out enough. And I wouldn't want to take that away from someone who is physically disabled since it's really more for them. So I don't think I really need it. Plus, I need to get my steps in, to be honest. I thought about doing it once when my mental health was really cripplingly bad, but I didn't. So, but anyway, I accidentally parked in a spot that was meant for handicapped people, and I backed up to park somewhere else. And I parked in front of what looked like an alley because I thought it was just a fucking alley. You know, you put your garbage cans out there or something. That's it. So I was trying to avoid getting a ticket, and I backed up and parked in the spot that I thought was just a spot. Turns out it was an exit to a restaurant. So my car got towed because I was trying not to get a ticket. Fun. Good times. Oh, I was coming out on this. Dumb rules weren't posted about park on an odd number side of the road. If Sundays was an odd number day, or what? God, yeah, that kind of stuff drives me bonkers. Like, who makes the rules for that? Fix it. I don't understand it. But again, Rhode Island's a tiny place. That's the really major issue. Parking is limited in the city overall. But I do like the concept of, you know, if you're resident in this state, you should be able to park wherever without a problem. Why? You live here. That's why. But that's not the case. Same thing for beaches. Did you know that? In Rhode Island, at least, you have to have like a town sticker to go to a certain beach in that town. That makes sense. But it's like you're a Rhode Island resident and you can't go to that beach because you're not in that town. That just, yeah. I don't go to the beach, by the way, so don't worry about it. You know why? This is why. I don't tan, I just burn. I'm not exactly fond of the sand and the shells that could get in my feet. All kinds of bug things like crabs and bugs that are there, and fish smell and seaweed, and there's so many things in the ocean. No, thank you. I don't like nature water, as I like to call it. I don't like nature water, which is the ocean and ponds and that kind of thing, where just so much stuff is. Oh, God, I can't. I don't even like going into the pool. I used to like swimming a lot, but when here's another little anxiety-inducing mental illness thing that people aren't aware of. So, pools. I used to think, this is just anxiety and whatever mental illness stuff does, when I was in the pool, there was a part of me that thought that something would come out of the drain. Totally irrational thought. Nothing is coming out of a drain in the pool. But there was part of me that thought something would. And that's all it takes. Just me thinking something would be there. Thinking something could come out of there. So I wasn't a fan of the pool anymore. And again, I don't, like, this is also when I was getting older. So, hair and physical appearance, I'm not looking to take my shirt off and get in the pool or anything. It's not. I think at some point I would get in the pool with the shirt on. That was about it. That feels just as awkward, by the way. So I don't do that. You can pay for a beach sticker, and if you live nearby, the fee is lower. Oh. Well, thankfully, I don't go to the beach. So if I do, it's in the wrong time of year. So I will go to Sandy Point is the one I'm thinking of. And I will park there, but I won't really go to the beach. I'll walk on the beach. Walking along the beach is okay. But like actual beach time and tourists and tanning and that kind of thing, just no. Same thing with going on a boat. That makes me really uncomfortable because you're in the middle of the water and you could drown if the boat should capsize. Probably won't, but it could. So again, anxiety. I remember specifically I had kind of a panic attack-ish sort of thing, or at least I was very stressed out when I was in the Boy Scouts. And part of the canoe thing was that they would flip you into the water. No, I was like, no, I'm not okay with that. Please don't do that. Thankfully, they're aware that my situation was not cool. I was very stressed out and very scared, so they just didn't do that to me, thankfully. And then I went back and I felt really bad because I felt like the one guy who didn't go into the water. But again, not a fan of being in the water, especially dark. There might be something else in there kind of water. I think I still got my canoe merit badge or whatever the hell it was, thankfully, but didn't like that at all. Did not like. All right, we're coming down to the wire here, folks. Thank you for joining me on this Mental Health Awareness Day thing. There's still more. I know It's Bourbon Night's going live next. It's party time. Sarah's birthday. It'll be fun. Birthdays are fun, right? Not mine, but hers will be. And then at 9 p.m. Eastern time, so 1 hour after my stream ends, there will be Stuff and Whiskey going live with their fundraiser charity event thing. Be there. You could win a bottle. Good evening, Mike Franklin. I just saw you pop in. Hello. Welcome to the end of the show. Watch the replay. Like and subscribe. Do it. Do it. Requires you to click a button, folks. It's free. It helps me out tremendously. You have no idea. Okay. Ooh, I got a dislike. Nice. Thank you. What was I going to say? Look. I'm just doing what little I can, Whiskey Mountains. Thank you for doing it. Like, you and Stuff and Whiskey are actually doing the hard work. I'm just here saying, like, go do the thing. Do the thing, because the thing is going to be done. Right? It's pretty good odds. It's nice to have people come in and stick around and then hit the button, and then if they got to go, they got to go. Cheech, hello. Welcome, sir. When are you going to be a mystery guest? Because I know you're never awake in the daytime. Oh, my stomach. Angry stomach. I haven't eaten much, so There is something weird about this Blanton's bottle. Zen Bood. You're right about it. Not liking it much. It's not terrible, but there's something weird. It's not completely pleasant. I'm gonna end with. Supposed to do Buffalo Trace, but I don't feel like it. I think I'll do a little pour of Smug. What do I got? Hold on. There we go. I know what I want to pour. This is the 3-quart. This is Irene's handpick. You can only get it in Connecticut, unless you know a guy. Butterscotch Sundae. It's so good. Look at that. I dented that bottle a bit. Hold on, that side's better. I've had this for 2 weeks. I already want another one, and I have to be very careful because it's really good. And I just drink it. It's like up there because I can reach it. This is right here. I need to move it farther away from me. Maybe, well, these are all my drinking ones. Maybe back there. Maybe, I don't know. Figure it out. Oh. Oh, that's the stuff. Oh, it's still weird. It's still weird. Look at that. Okay, I think that's good. We're good. 4 minutes left. We're good. Oh, that hurts. Let me know what you're drinking if you just showed up. I'm curious. How? Oh my God, it's so good. I did a video about it. I saw your video recently. Did I comment on that? I feel like I did. I don't remember. God damn it. I wish my memory wasn't like that. There's the last thing we'll talk about. Mental health stuff can affect your memory. Short term specifically. Like I can remember things I did a long time ago. And but it's, what I did last week-ish is a bit vague, or like what I did a month ago, maybe. Part of the reason I do video recording stuff is so I can see what I did. Oftentimes I don't remember. So that's one. That's why I'm really bad with names. Like I will remember a face. I can remember a person's face usually, but I can't always remember names. Oftentimes I'll just stick stuff into my phone and hope I remember to look at it first. Oh yeah. They could watch your show if they wanted to, probably. I only wish I could do late night stuff, but oftentimes, one, there's a lot of streams that go live at night. So what? Two, oftentimes if I'm up late, I'm playing video games with a friend of mine who I only see at night when it's late. One more thumb up for 30, by the way. So if you want to be number 30. But oftentimes I'm usually hanging out with a friend of mine, an IRL friend who lives in the middle of the country. So we don't get to talk much, but we do get to play games occasionally. As much as I like the Whiskey Tube community, I gotta keep like my real life connections that I've had for many years, 20 years at least, probably more than that. 25? We were talking about this a little while ago. All right, coming up on the last minute. This is the worst time because I'm just like, I can't really talk about much else, but I don't want to wait. So all I'm asking for right now is that you like, subscribe, hit the bell, especially like, because we're at 29 and now it's bothering me because I'm just staring at it like 29. Pouring a little bit of this 3-quart to start off the next bit of the celebration here. Again, I will be on, it's Bourbon Night. Apparently I'm a mod there, so I have to like be there occasionally. Join us there and then make sure you hit up Stuff and Whiskey for their streams tonight, or just donate right now. There's a link right there, but it's also in the pinned comment if you want to donate directly to them. Do it. You may get a bottle of whiskey. You may get some Buffalo Trace stuff. Do it. Yeah. I haven't actually had any 3-quart Sugar Kitty. This is it. This is the only one I've had, so I can't tell you anything about it other than I really like this one. So that's another thing I should try someday, 3-quart. Eventually. Thank you all for joining me on this wild and wacky adventure as we talk about how I deal with mental illness all the time and celebrating World Mental Health Day. Speaking is sometimes hard, by the way. But I gotta pour this quick. Woo! There we go. Okay. I'll see you on this Bourbon Night. I'll see you on Stuff and Whiskey. As always, live long and prosper. Don't forget to be awesome. And I will see you out there.